That's really the expectation that I like to set here on this channel. It's gonna be okay. Hey, welcome to my video. If you're from my Instagram, I love you, and if you're not from my Instagram, love you all the same. Welcome to today's video that I filmed a few weeks ago and then completely forgot about. But it still holds up to this day, okay? I was doing a little, at the time, fall-inspired makeup look, and I wanted to show it to you today. So if you want to see how I created a deep red, sort of burgundy, sort of cranberry look, and that's your thing, then please keep watching. So as usual, I'm just gonna start out with eye primer. This is the P. Louise primer, and I'm just applying that with the flat brush all over my eye, and I'm trying to do a thin layer. Okay, so now that that's done, we're moving right along to eyeshadow. And today I want to do like an autumnal look. I'm feeling kind of like a red shade, but not cherry red, more like a deep burgundy. Anyway, I digress. I am using the Be Perfect Carnival palette. This is the Carnival 3, I believe. Anyway, whenever this launched, this was one of my favorite palettes ever, and I still use it pretty much almost daily. Not sponsored by any means, by the way, I'm just saying. And I'm taking the shade Bear on a fluffy blending brush, and I'm sort of creating this like wing shape in my crease. Now this is sort of like a dusty rose type of color. For some reason, I think it comes out more pink on camera, but in person it's like a dusty rose. And so as you were able to tell, I just applied that mostly carelessly, and now I'm also taking the same brush and the same shade, and I'm applying it to like half of my moving lid. And as of right now, I'm not really too worried about blending it out. I'll do that later. And now I'm doing the same thing on the other eye. Now while I do that, I want to talk about TV shows for a second here, because I feel like recently we got a few good shows, like the new Love is Blind is out. Do you guys watch that? I watch it with my partner on the weekends, so I'm not really up to date yet.
I watched the whole thing at this point, and whoa, the seasons are getting crazier, diva.
But all I know so far is that it's a quite crazy season. I also need to finish Heartstopper. That is such a cute show and I love it so much. And I also need to finish Emily in Paris, which I still haven't like finished the second part of the season yet. Now, I know there are people who judge people like me who watch Emily in Paris. And to that I say, you know what, fair. But also, I feel like it's just so unserious. I'm just trying to look at a cute girl in cute clothes, okay? That, but also I've started watching one of my comfort shows recently, again for the 57th time probably, and that's The Nanny. I used to love watching The Nanny as a kid, and I still think it holds up to this day. But also after The Nanny, I think I have to start watching Gilmore Girls, and I think I talked about this in one of my previous videos. I have actually never watched Gilmore Girls. I know what it's about. I've seen a few clips, I believe, but I don't even think I ever watched a full episode, and I certainly have never seen the full show. So now that it's autumn and like we're getting into the falling leaves spirit, I've been told it's a good time to start, and so I have to do that, you know, ASAP.
Started watching it now, and all I know so far is that I'm hashtag Team Luke.
But let me know what you're watching these days. Do you watch shows or movies or both? I've honestly stopped watching movies in the past couple of years. Like obviously I still watch movies every once in a while, but that really used to be my thing. Like I used to be in my movie bag. I used to watch one every few days at least. Now, I don't know, maybe once a month. And that's just because I really haven't seen many movies in the last few years that I have personally really liked. But yeah, for the most part, I'm not that inspired with movies recently. Does that happen to anybody else? Side note, I must look crazy applying the same shade on my eye for 5 minutes straight while I'm like looking straight in the camera and stabbing myself. Cute. So we really gotta get serious and get back to the makeup. So I'm now dipping into shade Blaze from that same palette, and I'm sort of stippling it on, I guess, to the outer corner of my eye, including the moving lid, but I am gonna follow that wing shape. See, I kind of want it to look like that. I know this is giving cherry red right now, but trust the process. And also, I'm gonna add a little bit more of this shade, but I prefer to go little by little because you can always add more, but if you mess up, it's really hard to take off. Okay, and I just did the same thing on this eye. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm like looking in that direction sometimes, it's because I always have a standing mirror over there, and I also have a handheld one, so like that's why I'm switching. Anyways, now I'm using the same brush, but I dipped into the darker red shade, which is called Chili Pepper, and I'm placing that even more in the outer corner. As you can see, that looks absolutely horrible. By the end, it's gonna look a little bit less horrible terrible because I am gonna clean up underneath, but I'm not really worried about that right now either. We're moving on to the Scepter palette. Love, love, love this palette. I always talk about it too. I am literally insufferable, I know. Anyway, so from this palette, I'm taking the shade Hot Chalk on the same brush, and I'm only gonna use a very small amount of that. Now, if you don't have this palette, that's fine. Just any dark brown that's preferably a cool tone will do. You could honestly also use black here, but like it's very easy for black eyeshadow to take over the whole look and literally upstage every single eyeshadow that you just applied. So that's a little tricky, so I'm using a dark brown. Anyways, now back to my thing with fall. I personally love fall in theory, but in practice, not so much. Mostly because where I live, the weather is not like crisp and you don't really get to enjoy the leaves changing colors and falling gracefully. Fall here is more just like rain all the time and very gloomy and gray, very much giving seasonal depression. And that's just personally not my vibe because I don't need any more depression. I think I maxed out on that personally. Anyway, so this is just about how much brown I wanted to apply. Okay, so now you might be thinking to yourself, girl, this looks like a hot ass mess. And you know what, girl, it does. So one thing that's gonna make it look a little better is if we apply all the shades that we already did, but in their reverse order. That's gonna add more pigment to where we've lost some of it due to blending. And then we're gonna blend out even further. It's gonna be great, you're gonna see. Well, great is really optimistic. It's gonna be okay. That's really the expectation that I like to set here on this channel. It's gonna be okay. Anyway, let me go do what I need to do and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that I've done that, it's looking a lot better in my opinion. It doesn't really give wine red. It doesn't give Bordeaux. We'll see what we can do to fix that in a minute. And if not, we just have a cute red eye look, and so who cares? Honestly, in my eyes, makeup is really not that serious. Like, I love it. I, take pride in it, but like you could wipe it off at the end of the day. So if you mess up, you mess up. And sometimes also initially what you thought you were gonna do in your head doesn't really turn out that way. And I just tend to not sweat that stuff at all. Just don't worry about it and continue going with the flow, Anyway, before we try and make this look a tad more autumnal, I'm just gonna clean off the edges and I wanna show you how I'm gonna do that. So I hope you can see I've just gone ahead and applied some of my foundation on a flat brush, and I just sort of drew a line following my lower lash line up, basically to my hairline. Now that I've done that, that's gonna act like sort of an eraser, and I'm just taking a cosmetic Q-tip. It can also be a regular one, and exactly where I applied that foundation, I'm just gonna pull up. Okay, so I hope you can see the difference between that and that. This really gives me the sharp edge that I like, so I'm gonna do the same thing on the other eye, and I'll be right back. By the way, whenever I film myself, that's the only time I actually notice how much I talk with my hands. I'm very expressive. Some might also call it annoying, but you know what? That's none of my business. BRB. Right, so now I'm just gonna put a little bit of base on my lids, just a tiny bit like this, and I'm gonna blend it out with my little brush. And I'm just doing this to make the eye tacky again so that the eyeshadow will look more vibrant. And as for the eyeshadow, I am dipping into the Rain palette, also by Be Perfect, obviously not sponsored. I wish it was though. And we're gonna use shade Antique, which is like a beigey neutral shade, but it has these pink and red little glitter pieces, little reflex in it. I just want to apply that and see how that's gonna look, and then we'll see what we're gonna do from there. So I'm taking the shade on a flat brush and just applying it everywhere that I applied the primer earlier. And again, I'm starting off with a little bit and I'm gonna gradually add more if I feel like it. I just wanna sort of see what effect I'm actually chasing because I'm still not sure. Okay, so because of the little glitter pieces in person, this sort of looks almost like a rose gold shade, and I'm into that honestly. So this was a good choice, and I'm just doing the same thing on the other eye. Okay, now right now it's looking a little flat, so I'm gonna add some liner on my lash line, and I think I'm gonna start with like the deep red and then maybe the dark brown and kind of smoke those two out. And I also need to finish up my lower lash line, so I'm gonna do that now. Oh, okay, you know what? That's cute and definitely was a good decision because it does look a little bit more detailed. You see what I'm saying? Like the eye looks like it has a tiny bit more depth compared to this one, but we are also gonna add the brown just between the lashes, and that'll also make the lash line look fuller, so that's a win. Okay, I'm just blending the eyeshadows that I already used down to my lower lash line. And you know what? I like this look. It looks kind of cute. It's not exactly what I envisioned for today, but when is it ever? Okay, and I think that should be good for the eyes. I think we're done. Obviously, we have to apply mascara in that, but I'm actually gonna go finish up the rest of my face and apply mascara as well. And I'll be back here to show you the final look. Okay, I'm back and this is the final look. Today, I used a new viral cushion foundation, and honestly, looking at myself now in the mirror and in the viewfinder, I think my skin looks pretty great. But that was not the point. The point was today's look. So there you have it. It's pretty. It's not exactly what I imagined in my head, but I like it nonetheless. Let me know how you like it and tell me, do you usually wear bolder or darker colors for fall? But if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please consider liking, subscribing, maybe even commenting, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!